A very good morning to all of you, Class 8. Welcome back to the English class. In today's recorded class, I'm going to continue with the lesson, The Glimpses of the Past. We started with this lesson yesterday, and then we discussed the map of India during the time when Britishers invaded, when they came to India as traders. So this was the map of India. And this is a map of India in 1765, and the regions which are in red are the British territories. These were the territories which were taken control by Britishers once they entered India. Then we learned about how did Britishers started taking control of different parts of India. Like the company's conquest. In company's conquest, we discussed about how with the Battle of Plassey, the Britishers took control of Bengal, Orissa and Bihar, right? And your lesson is divided into 9 different parts. Mainly you can say these are 8 different parts. The company's conquest, which we have discussed yesterday. British rule, what happened during British rule, and how did they started taking control, what was the condition of what was the social the society, how was the Indian society at that time, what were the challenges in the society. Then we learn about social reformer, a social activist, Ram Mohan Roy. Then today in this video I will explain oppression, dissatisfaction and sparks. Okay, so and apart from that you have 2 more segments in this lesson, revolt and the fight for freedom. So the whole lesson is basically divided into these 9 parts. All right, now this is the lesson it relates to a historical event. So everything what we read in this lesson, it is all historical event, but we will not see only from a history point of view. Okay, I will not be able to give you many historical facts and like you get it in a history subject. I would not be able to give you all that, but our objective would be to would be able to understanding of these topics, dissatisfaction, oppression, the sparks, understanding of this particular topic, this theme, and then we should be able to relate it. We should be able to relate these topics, all these themes with the past. Okay, with the struggle of the conquest of how East India Company came into India, how did they spread their rule, and what was the society at that time, how was the Indian society at that time, how did people reacted to the British rule, and when did the dissatisfaction started, or if there was any segment of people who were satisfied with British rule, and why were they satisfied, why they were dissatisfied, and how did the revolt started. And so we are going to read glimpses of as the lesson it suggests, glimpses of the past. We are not going to read in detail once again. We are just going to have a glimpse of these events, of these topics. Okay, so the company's conquest, I have explained this yesterday, the British occupation to Bengal, how with the Battle of Plassey in 1757, how did they British defeated Siraj Ud-Dowlah, the Nawab of Bengal, and then they proclaimed Mir Zafar as the Nawab of Bengal. But the company was they had dual administrative system in Bengal, and they got a free trade in Bihar, Bengal and Orissa. Then East India Company, they actually become the real master of India. Then at that time, some of the very big disadvantage of the Indian society at that time was, the kingdoms, the princes, the kings, where they were fighting against each other. They were trying to take control of each other's land, and the East India Company saw an opportunity there. So they would support one prince state to defeat another, and then they would stake their right in that kingdom. And in this way, they had controlled a big part of India. We learn about Tipu Sultan, who was the ruler of the kingdom of Mysore, and he understood what was East India Company doing, and he understood that East India Company is making the kingdoms fight with each other, and very cleverly East India Company was taking control of many Indian states, right? And then in the fourth Anglo-Mysore War, now this is the fourth Anglo-Mysore, this, if you go into historical part, I will share this PPT at the end. Once the lesson is finished, I'm going to share this PPT in your Google Classroom, so you can see this whole PPT, okay? And then you can refer to your history book, or you can ask your history teacher what is the fourth Anglo-Mysore War, or how was Tipu Sultan defeated, okay? But as per reliable sources from Encyclopedia Britannica, all my resources are Encyclopedia Britannica, Tipu Sultan was defeated by British while he was defending his fort, and he was supported by some rulers, some Maratha rulers. So once again here, Britishers did not defeat Tipu Sultan on his own. They defeated with the help of some Maratha rulers. Then we learn about how was the Britishers superior. They were superior. They had superior arms and ammunitions. Okay, that was the first thing. They had very organized army. They had superior weapons, and diplomacy was one of their very superior, very clever weapon. They would approach the kings and the princes with very diplomatically, and saying that we are going to help you defeat another kingdom, and then we are going to support you, and we want to do a trade, we want to do business, so, and we would want you to expand your kingdom in this way. So they played a very diplomatic game, you can say. So these were two very big important weapons. Their weapons, their arms and ammunitions were of far superior quality, like guns and tanks, and they politically also they were very diplomatic in their approach. Then we learn about East India Company took control of states by trade and supported Indian prince to finish another. Then we see that the Indian prince were short-sighted, they were fighting with each other. So this is all we have discussed in the this part, the conquest of the company's conquest and Tipu Sultan. Then the next we British rule between 1765 to 1836. The evils in the society. What were the evils? They were child marriage, untouchability in the society, sati. Indian had lost their self-respect. They thought, they were their future was in the hands of Britishers, and the artisans and the farmers were worst hit because heavy taxes were imposed on farmers, and raw materials were exported from India in low cost, and ready-made products were imported without tax to India. Thus, it ruined the business of local artisans. Britishers used every method to take control of maximum profit. Then imports, that means whatever was being imported from England was tax free. They did not have to pay any tax. So in this way, they were Britishers were maximizing on their profit, but they were not giving any benefit. They were not giving substantial benefit to the common Indian. We learn about Ram Mohan Roy, who was a social reformer. Indian religious, social reformer, educational reformer who challenged Hindu cultures, and we learn about Ram Mohan Roy, who understood the wrongdoing of East India Company. He tried to reform the society. He taught people that the teaching of all religions were the same. He emphasized on practical knowledge, use of knowledge. He went to England, and there he understood that the ruler has certain duty and certain obligation towards his subjects, which the East India Company were not giving to Indian people. So after coming back, he started a newspaper, Samvad Kamundi, which was a Bengali weekly newspaper, which was stopped by the Britishers. Okay, they feared that it might lead to revolt, so they stopped the Bengali weekly by Ram Mohan Roy. Then now in this today I'm going to explain you oppression. Okay, what is oppression? Oppression, the duration period here is 1765 to 1835. Oppression means it is a prolonged, cruel or unjust treatment or exercise of authority. That is what oppression means. I'm going to show you this okay. Oppression, the meaning of oppression is prolonged or cruel or unjust treatment of power. Okay, in 1818 a resolution was passed. Under it, Indian could be jailed without trial in a court. That means Indians were deprived of any fair trial under law. Okay, so they could be jailed without being proved guilty. Okay, even if they are innocent, they cannot prove their innocence in the court because they are not given that trial. Then now here you need to understand how East India Company they oppressed the Indian society. First, they could jail Indian without trial in the court. Okay, so they cannot prove that they were right or they are innocent. They imposed high tax on farmers. Okay, high tax on farmers were imposed. East India Company used India's resources and money but did not pay back. Okay, they used all their resources. They were exporting the resources from India to their country. They were bringing back ready-made products. They were the market for that ready-made was Indian people. Now Indian people did not have another alternative because the industries were ruined. Okay, the industries could not survive the stiff competition and the high taxes. So in this way, Indian had to buy those ready-made products. And what this was doing is that East India Company was using India's resources and money. Okay, and they drained India's revenue to pay for extremely expensive bureaucracy. That means their government. Okay, their government, the function, their offices, they were paying for these expenses by Indian, through Indian money. Okay, and then the British officers drew large salaries. Where did they get their salaries? They did not get it from England. They did not get it from Britain, but they were getting it from from India. They made fortunes in businesses because they were exporting and importing. So they made huge fortunes. In 1829, Britain was exporting goods worth 7 crore rupees to India. Okay, and then it was killing the Indian industries while East India Company prospered. Now India was economically drained, so these are the oppression, these were the what would you say, the challenges Indian society had to face. Okay, then industries were ruined and farmers were heavily taxed. And then even the one British Governor General of India, Bentinck, reported to England that the bones of cotton weavers are bleaching the plains of India. That means the bones of cotton weavers now, during this time India was a huge producer of cotton. Okay, so cotton weavers means those who weave clothes out of, or those who produce ready-made products out of cotton, those who make spin it and they produce thread and they produce ready-made products using cotton. He says that the bones of cotton weavers, that means, so these workers, the people who were associated with cotton plantation production industry, the bones of cotton weavers are bleaching the plains of India. That means they were starving, they were dying because they were not getting the benefit. Okay, so this is the oppression of East India Company. Then we will come to the dissatisfaction. Okay, now how did the dissatisfaction against the East India Company, the British rule, started? Sanskrit and Persian were the medium of instruction. Sanskrit and Persian were the medium of instruction at that time. Now there was a governor, English governor, who suggested that English should be made medium of instruction for Indians. Okay, in education, in imparting education. So Sanskrit and Persian, which was a medium of instruction in India, in 1835, Lord Macaulay, Lord Macaulay, he suggested that Lord Macaulay suggested that the medium of education in India should be English. Thus the proposal was accepted. Now there was a big motive behind it. Their aim was to produce an army of Indian clerks to assist the British in doing their paper work. This was the motive. But this move had some positive outcome for Indians. It also produced a generation of intellectuals. They had a better understanding and awareness of the British rule. Some of them, they tried to educate the masses. Some of them understood what are the rights of Indian, and some decided to convey the grievances of the people to the British Parliament. Whatever was happening in India, some of them, they decided to make the British Parliament aware about this. So these were dissatisfaction started here. Now by 1856, the British was ruling whole of India. Now they cared little bit, they did not care about the public, and Indian had suffered too long and they wanted to get rid of. Okay, now by 1835 we see that the British were ruling whole of India, and they cared little bit about Indians. So now common man they had suffered too long and they wanted to get rid of British rule. They understand that many rulers had lost their powers. Okay, their kings, the Indian kings, the common man, they understood that the kings, their rulers have lost their power, and they were mere puppet of the British rule. They had to obey whatever was told them to, whatever was asked for them. The Indians, they lost their lands, their jobs, okay, because if they could not pay heavy taxes, then their lands were taken away, their jobs were lost, their industries were ruined. Famine and starvation was killing thousands of people. So this was the condition this was the situation under British rule. Now the sparks. How did the sparks start? 1855 to 1857. Taxes continued to ruin the peasants. Now this is a very particular incident. In Bengal, the Santal lost their lands under the new land rule. Santals are basically, Adivasi community, tribal community. They are basically they are dependent on forest. Okay, so they, under the new land rule which was imposed by British, many of them lost their lands. The uprising of Santals began as a reaction to end despotic British revenue system. Okay, despotic means what would I say? Dictatorship. Okay, dictatorship or rule, and revenue system, and unsavory practices means money lending. Okay, money lending without any ethics, unethical money lending practices. And zamindari system in India. Zamindari system was, you can ask these terms from your history teachers. Zamindari system was, the farmers, the peasants, they had to pay taxes to the zamindars. Okay, for the land belonged to zamindars, and to work or to cultivate that land, the farmers had to pay heavy taxes to zamindars, and then zamindars were controlled by the Britishers. Now in 1855 they rose in rebellion and killed Europeans and their servants alike. This was by Santals. Okay, now this is on 30 June 1855. Two Santal rebel leaders, Sidhu and Kanhu Murmu, mobilized 10,000 Santals and declared a rebellion against British colonies. Sidhu Murmu had accumulated about 10,000 Santals to run parallel government against the British rule. The basic purpose was to collect taxes by making their own laws, because they were deprived of their rights. Okay, they're deprived of their land rights. They had to pay heavy taxes. So this was the cause of the revolt by Santals. So this happened in 1855. So children, with this I am going to end today's content. I will continue with the lesson in the next class. I would request all of you to please go through your lesson, okay, and whatever homework is given, please post it in Google Classroom. Do not send me a WhatsApp, make a PDF and post it in Google Classroom. What I'll do is I'm going to post this content. There's just two parts is left, so after completing those two parts I will post the entire PPT in Google Classroom, so you can read from there also. So I hope children the lesson was clear to all of you till here. If you have any kinds of a doubt, you can message me. Alright, so thank you.